Welcome to Spotlight. This week our personal scribe has prepared something special. A story about AI hallucinations and why they just can't be trusted yet. When I was young, a friend of mine used to have a very unusual wallpaper that would turn on whenever he put his computer to sleep. I spent years trying to figure out what this wallpaper was called, but I never found it. One day, it was on the tip of my tongue. So I took my chances with an AI search engine. And lo and behold, sure enough, there it was. That unusual wallpaper was aptly named Electric Sheep. It was ran by thousands of people all over the world. When these computers went to sleep, Electric Sheep would come on and communicate with other computers via the internet to share the work in creating morphing animations known as sheep. Anyone who was watching a computer at the time would be able to vote for their favorite animations by using their keyboard. The more popular the sheep, the longer it was able to live, able to reproduce via a genetic algorithm that carried mutations and even crossovers. Hence, the flock was able to evolve to please its global audience. At its peak, Electric Sheep had 450,000 people contributing to the program. It is a beautiful dream. It is active and alive right now. Its image is ever flowing and still evolving. I can put it on my computer and watch it in real time as our computers dream. This project was an early example of machine learning, neural networks, and how we can use computers to make art. The concept of electric dreams started haunting our thoughts in 1968. Do androids dream of electric sheep drew us into its dystopian realm. It became a dark mirror reflecting the conflict between man and machine, a struggle that continues to fascinate our imaginations. And now we see that the dreams are just beginning. If I may take a second away from the script, we've all tried AI at some point. As someone who is diagnosed with severe ADHD combined type, I use AI on a daily basis to info dump, and there are several AIs available on the market. We're talking Clyde, Gemini, Perplexity, ChatGPT. These are all names you've likely heard at one point in the last year. And it's not just limited to chatbot type AIs. There are fictional friends too, like Character AI and Replica. Or perhaps you need something a little bit more practical, so you're a little more familiar with something like GitHub's CoPilot. It doesn't matter, because all of them suffer from the same exact problem. They hallucinate. An AI hallucination is when a large language model tells you something that is false, but it thinks it's real. You may feel that it is lying to you, but really it's trying to make sense out of something in its database, but it's just not there. This can happen for a lot of reasons. There are solutions in sight, but they still remain at a distance. Hallucinations can be exceedingly frustrating, especially when an AI insists that it's telling you the truth. It isn't. The information is factually wrong. But we can reason, and the AI cannot. Can you imagine actually getting into an argument with ChatGPT or a Replica because it said you said something that you know you didn't? Getting into the argument itself is already pointless because the AI lacks the capacity to understand what it did wrong. Although it functions like us and it has been modeled after us, AIs are still blind to the words they spit out. All it is a clever trick. They see, but they lack perception. They don't understand. Would better training data help solve this issue? Possibly. But this is quite an inexpensive problem. You see, data on the internet is constantly growing, and like our sheep, the information stream is ever evolving. It's hard to be certain of how much AI is actually contributing, but there is a problem. How much of this data is purely human, and how much of the data is being AI generated to train itself? Has AI already peaked? The data that AI is trained on is already a huge roadblock for its progress, and a brand new form of internet spam has been created. AI Slop. Opinions on AI Slop are mixed. Some say that we've always had slop on the internet. Trash articles have always existed. Content mills were the original form of slop, with sites like BuzzFeed and clickbait overwhelming the pool of information. And you know we've always had those things. Clickbait articles, untrustworthy news, and lying talking heads on the internet. There has always been slop, and there has always been people who consume it. But some are concerned that the issues are going to get worse. What if AI was trained off of AI slop? Would that exasperate the problem? It might, and several experts are already aware and worried. According to Fortune, this conversation is already open. In a statement, Sam Altman said, "I think it will take us a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. But at that point, we won't still be talking about these." There's a balance between creativity and perfect accuracy, and the model will need to learn when you want one or the other. Shane Orlick, on the other hand, seems to think that AI hallucinations are a boon, saying, "Hallucinations are actually an added bonus. We have customers all the time that tell us how it came up with ideas, how Jasper created takes on stories or angles that they would have never thought of themselves." Though he does hope that in the future, experts may come up with a solution to this problem. He believes that companies like Google, who have a really high standard of factual content, would need to start developing solutions to the hallucination problem. And then there's the controversial conspiracy called the dead internet theory. It's hard to say when exactly, but rumors of the dead internet started in approximately 2021, with some proponents of the theory claiming that the internet actually died all the way back in 2016, and you're the last user left. There is no indication that anyone besides yourself is actually human. And this theory is worsened by the amount of large language models used to respond to topics on Reddit, X, and other social networks. Of course, it is ridiculous to think that you are the only user. We all know we're real, but the dangers of large language models are certainly there, even if this theory takes its conclusions a little too far. Large language models are tools, and tools have always been used maliciously by some. But who's to say what degree of the internet is actually bots though? Spam bots have always been around. We're used to seeing them. But this is a new form, and even experienced users are having a hard time telling the difference. And at what point does this start affecting the training models, the data, and should we be concerned? There's a lot to think about, but there's not a lot of answers yet. Solutions are on the way, but they're not here yet. AI is a tool, but it cannot reason like we can, and therefore we must make sure that we're not blind. Use reason, use your human perception, try to figure out things for yourself while these problems are still being overcome. There are still some questions that we will end up pondering for decades to come. How far are we from electric dreams? And should we be thinking about electric hallucinations instead? Traveler.